Welcome on F1 Unstoppable. Ferrari lied to everyone and built the most dangerous F1 car.
Silence. That's what 2025 sounded like for Lewis Hamilton. No podiums, no celebrations, no champagne raining down from the top step. Just the deafening silence of a paddock that had already written his eulogy, printed it, framed it, and hung it on the wall. Washed. Finished. A mistake. That's what they said. But here's the thing about Lewis Hamilton that his critics never understood, and probably never will. He doesn't respond to doubt with words. He responds with engineering. Melbourne, Albert Park, 2026. 5 red lights suspended above the most famous straight in Australian motorsport. And beneath them, a machine so radical, so deliberately disguised, so meticulously constructed around one man's burning desire for redemption, that the moment its true identity is revealed, Formula One will never look at pre-season testing the same way again. Can one steel revolution inside a Ferrari engine rewrite the entire power balance of Formula One? And did Maranello just execute the most cold-blooded strategic deception in the 76-year history of this sport? Don't touch that screen, because what you're about to hear isn't speculation. It's a countdown that Lewis Hamilton started the day he walked out of Mercedes, and it ends right here in Melbourne on race day. Let's rewind to where this story actually begins. Not Melbourne, not Maranello, not even the moment Hamilton signed for Ferrari. It begins in the quiet, brutal aftermath of every single race in 2025. Every retirement, every disappointing Sunday, every post-race interview where Hamilton sat composed, measured, giving away absolutely nothing. While inside, the most calculated mind in Formula One history was already building the blueprint. Fred Vasseur and Lewis Hamilton made a decision that no team principal and driver combination had ever been brave enough to make before. They sacrificed an entire season. Deliberately, strategically, ruthlessly. Every cent of research and development budget, not split, between 2025 upgrades and 2026 development. All of it, funneled exclusively into one car, one power unit, one aerodynamic philosophy. The SF-26 wasn't being developed alongside their 2025 campaign. The SF-26 was the campaign. The entire year was a data mining operation disguised as a racing season. But that was just the foundation. Because Ferrari didn't stop at building a faster car, they needed to make sure nobody else knew how fast it was going to be. So they built a lie. During pre-season testing in Barcelona and Bahrain, Ferrari deliberately wheeled out a version of the SF-26 that looked almost offensively conservative. Wide, bulky side pods. Cautious aero philosophy. A car that paddock insiders described as looking more like a touring car than a Formula One machine built for the new 2026 regulations. The paddock laughed. Rival technical directors quietly celebrated. Mercedes and Red Bull aero departments began recalibrating their own development programs, modeling Ferrari's thermal limits, their airflow characteristics, their cooling architecture, all based on exactly the data Ferrari wanted them to see. This is where the story gets dark, because none of it was real. Ferrari was running what they internally called Spec 2 bodywork, specifically designed to generate misleading data, to flood rival wind tunnels with phantom numbers, to force Mercedes and Red Bull to waste millions in research and development, running in entirely the wrong direction. The real SF-26 never left Maranello during testing. Not once. When the Spec 3 bodywork finally rolls out of the Ferrari garage at Albert Park, the paddock will experience something close to collective shock. The tightest rear-end packaging ever seen in Formula One history. A revolutionary bypass duct system channeling airflow with surgical precision. An aerodynamic masterpiece that doesn't just reduce drag, it nearly eliminates it. Every millimeter of this car sculpted specifically around Lewis Hamilton's driving style, his corner entry technique, his throttle application, his absolute obsession with mechanical grip under braking. And yes, the Macarena wing is real. That active rear wing system, rotating up to 225 degrees, will make Hamilton a literal rocket across Melbourne's 4 DRS zones. The paddock is already fixating on it. Rival engineers are already scrambling to understand it, which is exactly what Ferrari wants. Because the Macarena wing isn't the real weapon. The real weapon is hidden somewhere nobody thought to look. Inside the engine itself. Every manufacturer in Formula One uses aluminum alloy cylinder heads. Every single one. Ferrari looked at that consensus and walked away from it completely. The 0.676 power unit, Hamilton's engine, uses steel alloy cylinder heads. Yes, steel is dense. Oh, yes, it adds weight to the power unit. But steel can withstand combustion pressures exceeding 250 bar. More critically, steel traps thermal energy inside the combustion chamber, exactly where power is generated, rather than bleeding it outward into the cooling system. The result? Ferrari's radiators are 20% smaller than every competitor on the grid. Those impossibly narrow Melbourne side pods aren't an aesthetic choice. They're the physical consequence of a steel engine revolution. And then there's the FTM, a small, almost innocent-looking metal flap positioned directly behind the tailpipe. It redirects exhaust gases toward the underside of the rear wing, creating a modern blown diffuser effect. After a brutal 6-week legal battle with the FIA, the device was certified completely legal. While every camera in Melbourne chases the rotating Macarena wing, Hamilton will be quietly extracting half-second advantages at every single corner entry. And off the start line.
Ferrari's smaller turbocharger architecture reaches full spool-up in seconds, even without MGH electrical assistance. At Albert Park, where Turn 1 defines the race, that advantage isn't just significant, it's decisive. But Melbourne has never been a one-team story. McLaren arrives as the defending benchmark. Mercedes brings the most powerful engine on paper, 420 kilowatts of fury. Red Bull brings a revised RB22. Aston Martin arrives in crisis and transformation simultaneously. Alpine and Haas both collect Mercedes engine upgrades. Williams receives the engine upgrade but carries a significant weight penalty. Racing bulls have been almost completely silent. Cadillac and Audi are both in survival mode. But this story still comes down to 3 outcomes. Scenario 1. Hamilton wins. Steel holds. Ferrari delivers. Maranello's drought begins its final chapter. Scenario 2. Mercedes unleashes full power. Ferrari can't bridge the gap. The war begins. Scenario 3. McLaren solves their weight problem. The real rivalry isn't Hamilton versus Mercedes. It's Hamilton versus the legacy he left behind. Did Ferrari's deception trap their rivals in an R&D dead end? Is the steel revolution the most important engine decision since the hybrid era began? And when those 5 red lights go out in Melbourne, will Lewis Hamilton silence every voice that said he was finished? The asphalt already knows. We're about to find out together. If you made it this far, then you already understand what this season truly is. It's not about lap times. It's not about strategies. It's not about points. It's about redemption. Hamilton thinks it was worth it. Melbourne is where we find out if he was right. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, because the first telemetry earthquake of 2026 is seconds away, and you want to be here when it hits.